Title: The Cookies That Changed the Gate. Let me paint this picture for you. Monday morning, Atlanta International Airport. The kind of morning where the air smells of overworked coffee machines and expensive perfume trying too hard. Right by the check-in counter stood an elderly black woman named Evelyn Carter. Evelyn was 67 years old, 5 feet tall if you counted the modest heels, wrapped in a simple forest green coat, and wearing one of those classic Sunday hats grandmothers wear to church. She had that presence, firm yet graceful, the kind that whispered, "I raised children, lived through recessions, and still make the best peach cobbler east of the Mississippi." In her gloved hands, she held a Ziploc bag full of homemade honey cookies. No preservatives. Just love and arthritis. She wasn't bothering anyone. She stood quietly, handing one to a TSA agent who hadn't smiled since Obama's first term. "Try one, baby," she said with a soft southern warmth. "It'll take you right back to third-grade lunchboxes." The guard smiled briefly. But then came Catherine, with a K, late 30s. Her uniform creased sharper than her tone. Blonde bob. The kind of woman who looked like she laminated her complaints. "Excuse me, ma'am," Catherine snapped, looking at Evelyn like she'd offered someone raw chicken. "You can't hand out food here. TSA policy." "I'm sorry, sugar," Evelyn said kindly. "I'm just waiting on my son. He's sending a driver. Not flying anywhere. Ain't even got a water bottle." Catherine didn't blink. "No boarding pass means loitering. You need to leave the premises." What happened next? Picture a grown woman grabbing a 67-year-old by the elbow like she'd caught her stealing gum. No warning. No grace. Just grip and drag. People watched. Pretended not to. A man in a navy blazer muttered under his breath, "Here we go again." "I'm not bothering anyone," Evelyn pleaded. "I'm just waiting." Catherine didn't care. She called for backup like Evelyn was a national threat in orthopedic shoes. 2 more guards, one male, one female, showed up. Didn't ask. Didn't listen. Evelyn was pushed outside. Her arm brushed hard despite her quiet request, "Please don't touch my shoulder. I've had surgery. It's still healing." No one listened. And when the sliding doors shut behind her, Evelyn Carter stood alone. No charger. No help. Just cookies. And a smile trembling at the corners, the kind of smile black mothers wear when they're holding and hurt just a little longer. She sat on her old brown suitcase like it was the last friendly thing in the world. Her coat clung to her shoulders like memory. The Atlanta wind showed no mercy. Her curls whipped, her scarf fluttered. She tried calling her son. "Wesley, baby," she whispered. They wouldn't let me inside." Click. Dead battery. She looked at the phone like it had betrayed her. Then she placed it back in her purse, slow, steady, deliberate. And the world just kept walking. Some stepped around her. One man dropped a $5 bill in her empty coffee cup without stopping. Assumed she was homeless. Didn't ask. A teenager, backwards cap, bad manners, snapped a photo. "Yo, TikTok gonna love this," he laughed. Granny on a suitcase. Wild. Evelyn didn't respond. What was there to say? Then came a woman in a red blazer holding a tablet like a badge. "Excuse me," Evelyn said, standing with grace. "Could I charge my phone somewhere? Just need to call my son." "This is private property," the woman replied coldly. "You've been asked to leave. Remove yourself, or we'll call law enforcement." Evelyn tried. "I'm not breaking the law. I'm just a mother waiting for her son. We all have family," the woman snapped. "Doesn't mean you can camp here." Then Catherine reappeared. Same heels. Same smirk. "Still here?" she asked loudly. "What's the plan, lady? This ain't a shelter." Evelyn took a breath. The kind of breath mothers take before tears. "I already said." Catherine didn't let her finish. Reached for Evelyn's purse. "Please don't touch me," Evelyn said, her voice cracking. "I had surgery. You can't." "Just go," Catherine said, before someone decides to do more than ask. And Evelyn turned away, clutching her bag like a shield. Shame clung tighter than the wind. Exactly 1 hour later, Atlanta's skies roared. A Gulfstream G800 descended like royalty. Polished. Sleek. Rich. On its side, in metallic gold, Carter Global Ventures. The cabin door hissed open. Out stepped a man who walked like silence had weight. Wesley Carter. Billionaire. CEO. Harvard grad. Evelyn's son. "She's not answering," he said to his assistant. "Where's my mother?" "She's not in the terminal, sir." "Security. Thinks she left." Wesley turned slow. Evelyn Carter doesn't just leave. Pull the security feeds. Now. His team mobilized. Drone launched. Tech scrubbed footage. Then freeze frame. There she was, on a suitcase. Alone. Wesley's jaw clenched. Not in anger, something older. Deep. Historical. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. Chris Maddox, head of security, was watching the same footage, oblivious. Wesley appeared behind him. That's my mother. Chris blinked. That's your staff. That's her. Being escorted out like a threat for offering cookies. Chris stammered. We didn't know who she was. Wesley didn't flinch. Didn't realize she was who? A billionaire's mother or a human being worthy of respect. Then came the airport director, Elaine Foster. Her face turned ghost white. Mr. Carter, we deeply regret what happened. Wesley didn't even look at her. His eyes stayed on the footage. Watching frame by frame. Kristen was summoned. Clipboard in hand. Shoulders stiff. I followed protocol, sir, she said too quickly. She didn't have a boarding pass. Wesley turned. Calm. Firm. You enforced assumptions. Not policy. You saw an older black woman with no ticket, no luggage brand name, and you decided she didn't belong. Kristen's voice caught in her throat. You showed the kind of professionalism that disappears the second someone stops looking like your definition of respectability. Her silence admitted the truth. Hours later, Evelyn sat quietly inside a luxury SUV on the private runway. A thick wool blanket around her shoulders. A warm thermos of chamomile in her hands. Wesley joined her. Silent. Still. Mama, he whispered. Why didn't you call me? I didn't want to bother you, baby. I just wanted to see how you lived. Quietly. Like regular folks. You showed up with cookies, Wesley said. And they put you out like trash. She chuckled. Ain't the first time. Probably won't be the last. Then he reached for her. Fully. Completely. Arms around her like she was sacred. And Evelyn let herself rest. I want 2 slices of pie on that jet, she whispered eventually. Wesley grinned. You'll get them. With a hot towel. And a blanket that costs more than Kristen's monthly salary. They walked to the jet together. Slow. Proud. And this time, Evelyn didn't look back. 3 hours later, the story exploded online. The footage leaked. The headlines read, Elderly black woman removed from terminal, turns out to be billionaire's mother. But what shook the nation wasn't the money, it was the truth. If this is how they treat the mother of a billionaire, what chance do the rest of us have? Instagram filled with side-by-sides. Evelyn on the curb. Evelyn on the jet. LinkedIn flooded with essays about bias masked as policy. And just above the main airport doors, a news sign appeared. Welcome. No matter how you look. No matter who you're waiting for. Evelyn Carter didn't shout. Didn't seek revenge. She showed up with cookies. And grace. And made the whole world remember what dignity under pressure truly looks like. But Evelyn's story didn't stop there. The following week, she was invited to Capitol Hill. Not as a footnote, but as a headline speaker. Flanked by senators, congressmen, and her son, Evelyn Carter addressed the nation. Her voice was gentle, but it resonated like gospel. I didn't come here to make noise. I came to remind you that kindness isn't protocol. It's character. And if you can't see the person in front of you just because they're not wearing a suit or a badge, then the blind spot isn't in your policy, it's in your heart. The chamber fell silent. After her speech, legislation was introduced to ensure fair treatment of all non-ticketed guests in public terminals. They called it the Evelyn Carter Hospitality Act. Kristen? She faded into obscurity, quietly removed from her post. But Evelyn? She became a movement. Her image, hat, coat, cookies was immortalized in murals from Atlanta to Oakland. School children wrote essays about her. Airports started offering free phone charging stations outside their terminals, named in her honor. And every time a tired mother sat with a suitcase and a story, someone stopped. Someone offered help. Because Evelyn had taught them to look again. Back home, in a quiet corner of her sunlit kitchen, Evelyn baked a new batch of cookies. She handed one to her grandson, who asked innocently, Grandma, are these the famous cookies? She smiled. No, baby. These are just cookies. But love makes them special. And that, in the end, was her legacy, not the headlines, not the jet, not even the policy. But love, given freely, even when the world told her not to. And now, the world finally knew her name. Evelyn Carter.